My friend, if you're struggling finding, vetting, training, and managing virtual team members for your real estate business, I have the solution for you. Call Magicians is the premier virtual assistant company in the real estate industry. And basically, what they'll do is allow you to focus on closing more deals and doing the things you love while they handle the work for you. Head over to callmagicians.com and see if you're a good fit to work together. And make sure you use the promo code FLIPEMPIRE for a 20% discount off your startup fee. And by the way, the owner's a friend of mine and shares tons of value, gives a lot of useful tips on episode 540. So check it out at flipempire.com/540.
You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
The great Tony Robbins once said, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably deal with. And Dan Millman said, faith means living with uncertainty, feeling your way through life, letting your heart guide you like a lantern in the dark. And that's exactly what I want to dive into on this episode of the Flip Empire Show. Is I want to talk about acting in faith. And I want to talk about dealing with uncertainty. And the reason this is on my heart to share with you today is, many of you, when I talk, people reach out to me quite often about starting a podcast, building an audience. People feel like they have a voice they want to share with others, because at the heart of it, they want to impact and help people. And when that's always the root of people's desires, I want to help. I want to encourage them. I want to lift them up. I want to give them that confidence, or let them borrow confidence from me that they have a voice and they have things to share. And, I mention that because I'm dealing with a lot of uncertainty at this time, and it's making me feel alive. I'm in a season right now in my life where there's so many different things going on. And I've realized throughout the years that there's no such thing as balance. People talk often about having a balanced life. And I just come to understand that I don't believe balance exists. I believe there's phases and seasons where we're in the thick of it and we're doing things and we're moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And then there's other seasons that where it's calmer. There's not as much going on. And just by mere nature of the fact that you focus on something means that you're quote unquote off balance in other areas of your life, because you're just so focused on that one thing that balance doesn't really exist. And hopefully this is making sense, but I share all that with you as kind of the backdrop and to provide some context in that there's a lot of cool things and exciting things going on in my world right now. And this episode isn't about me, but I think through some of the stories I share with you, through kind of taking you through where I'm at right now, I think what I want you to do is think about how you can relate this to what you might be going through in your life. And I'm certain that at some point or another, you've been where I am right now. Maybe not exactly, but you've dealt with some of the feelings I'm currently kind of processing. And this morning I was on a mastermind call with a couple of really good friends of mine. These are entrepreneurs in other spaces, and we have been meeting consistently and regularly every Wednesday morning for about 6 or 7 years, roughly. And I was kind of giving them some updates, which I'll share with you on this podcast. And but let me kind of hit the fast forward to the takeaway, because I think it'll act as a springboard for what I want to share with you on today's episode. I was just giving them an update, and I was letting them know that I got a lot going on right now. And I'm somebody who's always kept pretty tight boundaries around my working hours, because I like to spend a lot of time with family, and I like to travel a lot. And I like to live life and do the things that really fill me up and that I enjoy. And I'm in a season right now where there's just there's quite a few things going on, and it's all positive. It's all good. And that doesn't mean it doesn't come without challenges, because it certainly does. And in the midst of that, what they were sharing with me and how the conversation kind of what the conversation spiraled into was 6 powerful words that I shared on my Instagram story, hit me between the eyes, and what I want to share with you. Trust in God, act in faith. Trust in God, act in faith. And when that came up, it was so timely. It was so relevant because, and by the way, I realized that when I kind of share my faith, that probably isn't going to land home with many people. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that because I got to be who I am, and I got to share what's on my heart, and the people that it connects with, fantastic. I want to get closer to those people, and the people that it doesn't connect with, maybe it gets you thinking a little bit different, or maybe you can draw something that relates to your beliefs or to your, so whatever it is you believe in, wherever your faith lies or lack thereof, I'm cool with, and I support you. I respect the fact that people have different beliefs, and that's one of the things that makes this world go round, right? So I'm just kind of sharing with you what my belief is, and why it has had such a profound impact on my life, on my business, and everything in between. So if that rubs you the wrong way, sorry, but not sorry. But I also want to just be real about what I think the message is that I need to share with you. And that's part of the reason I have this platform. But back to the takeaway from this mastermind call: trust in God, act in faith. So many of us, if you feel like you have trust in your creator, the universe, God, whatever that might be for you, is it backed by faith? And is that faith backed by action? And I'm not here, this isn't a podcast about quote unquote taking action. This is a podcast more about dealing with uncertainty and acting in faith. And I was sharing with them, so at the time of this recording, we are scheduled to close on my first self-storage facility. Actually, it's the second one, really, but we ended up wholesaling a storage facility about a month and a half, 2 months ago. But this is the first one we're actually going to take down, and we're going to do some improvements, turn it around. It's already cash flowing from day one, so it's a pretty solid deal in Mississippi. But we're scheduled to close in about a week, and we're flying out to Jackson in about 5-6 days. And there's a lot of I's that have to get dotted, T's that have to get crossed before we get to the closing. And then after the closing, I'm stepping into somewhat of an unknown. I'm stepping into some uncertainty. And while I've surrounded myself with the right people, the right coaches, the right community to help me, and I know that any question or challenge I come across, I'll be able to get an answer. I'll be able to resolve it. I have no doubt about that. I'm still stepping into the unknown. I'm still stepping into some level of uncertainty. And in the midst of all that, I just finished hiring a full-time personal assistant, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I hired a part-time boots on the ground person to kind of be the on-site property manager for the storage facility. I've gotten involved in some e-commerce businesses and launched a couple of Walmart stores. Ascend is rocking, and just I still continue to get so much joy and fulfillment out of having an opportunity to work with with all of our members, and just some of our new members that we've recently onboarded, and then on top of all of that, my wife and I have really kicked up our efforts in looking for our next home. We've been renting for the last couple of years since we sold our property, and I've been telling her, like, hey, this market is insane. Probably not the best time to buy our personal residence. Anyway, it's always a good time to buy, but as far as our personal residence, pretty crazy market. And so I told her, hey, look, let me just kind of put my marketing hat on. Let me go hunt for deals off market. And so in the last 2-3 weeks, we've really started to look at properties, primarily on market properties. And it is just stupid what is going on out there as far as prices and, deals not being subject to appraisal, people throwing 100-200 grand over appraised value. I mean, it's that kind of market here in Miami and in South Florida, and I'm sure in many markets across the country. So in the midst of all that, we've just been looking for a house, and there's just a lot going on. And I was sharing with them that I said I'm excited more than anything. I'm not overwhelmed, but there's a small level of, I think anxiety is a strong word. So it's not anxiety, but there's just a lot of moving parts going on right now, and it's giving me those butterflies in the stomach. I don't know if that's the word. And what I've realized is that's growth happening in progress. I'm not comfortable where I'm at right now because there's a lot of different things going on. But one of the things I've also realized is that I have to go back to honoring my boundaries, even though I'm in a season right now where I'm in the thick of it and there's a lot of moving parts. I've been working more than I'm accustomed to working. Working harder per se, and working hard is I think is important, but it's equally important, if not more important, to work smart and to leverage people and to leverage systems, and that's what I've kind of gotten away from, if I'm being very honest with you. And I'm somebody who I preach and live systems and processes, and not trying to wear all the hats in your business, because if that's you, then you just have a high paying job in many cases, right? And I've gotten a little bit off kilter when it comes to that. So in addition to all of that, I just finished yesterday phase 1 of 75 hard, and that is basically 75 hard in 30 days plus 3 additional things that you have to do. And it has been a big time commitment. And I've gotten incredible results from a health perspective, from a mindset and mental perspective. So I'm so glad I did it. And it's been a big time commitment. It's been something I've had to really carve out, multiple workouts a day, and reading and completing my 3 power task and just everything else. Right. So there's just a lot. Right. And I'm hoping that I'm kind of painting the picture and taking you inside my world a little bit. And again, this podcast isn't so much about me, but what I'm hoping you do is start to see how some of these things relate. And then I want to walk you through the thought audit that is going on right now. And one of the things that I have done within that 75 hard journey, phase 1, which is kind of like the next level, is I was writing my goals every single day. So for 30 days straight, I wrote my goals. And by the way, these aren't like, it's kind of a hybrid between goals and my vision. This process would take about 15 minutes because I had about 3 to 4 goals in each section of my life. Faith and spirituality, business, finances, health / fitness, personal development, family. So in these different areas, I was physically writing out. And one of those things involved writing out some vision elements. My wife and I are looking for a very specific type of house in a very specific area. And that was one of the things I was writing down on my goals. Another thing was the exact type of personal assistant I was looking to hire. And what's crazy is that 2 examples of just the power of having such clarity and then writing it down and then acting in faith. Now I'm starting to kind of tie everything together. I've always trusted in God, but was I acting in faith, and was I putting in the work? So not only was I writing goals down, but about 2 weeks ago, I ended up interviewing somebody to be our part-time on-site property manager for the self-storage facility we're purchasing. And she accepted the position. This is somebody that came with a lot of knowledge and experience in the self-storage world as far as property management is concerned. She came highly recommended. I vetted her. I mean, it was fantastic. About a week later, so this was, August 20th or so or whatever. Mind you, we're about 2.5 weeks away from closing. She calls me and lets me know that her husband got a job transfer and they were going to be moving. And so as a result, she was not going to be living in Mississippi anymore and could not be the part-time on-site property manager. And initially I was kind of hit with just disappointment and like, now what? I'm 2.5 weeks away from closing, and I gotta kind of scramble to find the right person, not just, put a body in there, but this is an important role. And I wasn't concerned that I would eventually find that person, but I was just thinking, am I going to find this person before closing? And then in the midst of feeling that disappointment, something triggered inside of me that's like, where's the opportunity in this? So whenever you're struck with adversity or whenever something doesn't go your way, train yourself and have it almost act as a trigger to immediately ask, where is the opportunity in this? Because I don't guarantee very many things, but I guarantee if you ask that questions more times than not, you will find an opportunity. You will find an answer. You will find the solution. And anyway, as after about 10 seconds of just kind of feeling disappointment and almost throwing an internal pity party for myself, I quickly shifted the conversation and I started talking to her about the exact type of person I was looking for as a personal assistant, and what that role would entail and what that would look like. And long story short, she ended up being that person. And that I was only able to identify that, number one, because I immediately recognized that this adversity, this challenge, this thing that's not going my way, asked the question, where's the opportunity in this? And then secondly, because I had such clarity on who I was looking to hire, what this person, what kind of experience, how did they communicate, what was their situation, what were they looking for? Like, all of this was just so clear in my mind that I quickly identified that this could be that person. And one conversation led to a Zoom interview and led to a predictive index test, which then ended up in one final call. And now I'm in the process of onboarding her today. In fact, today's day one for her as a full-time kind of like, I hate to use the word personal assistant because she's so much more than that, but just like my right hand, somebody who's going to help me across the different businesses from, Ascend and self-storage and some lending, some rentals, e-commerce, the podcast. So she's going to have her hands in pretty much everything I'm involved with. And it's going to take some time to get her up and running, but I wanted to share that story with you because I want to challenge you to ask yourself when something doesn't go your way, again, where does the opportunity lie here? First and foremost. And then act by faith, right? Trust in God, act in faith. And I was acting in faith. And when you just have this confidence that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to, and for me, it's, as it relates to this house, I'll go back to kind of writing on my goals. I'm very clear on what our next house looks like. Very clear what my wife and I are looking for, and the type of home that we really want to just make ours. And so we ended up putting an offer in on a house in this particular part of Miami called Pinecrest, which is a really, really nice part of town. And it was a house that we really, really, really liked, but we didn't love, right? And so we put the offer in. The day later, we get notified that they accepted an offer. And so we came in this market. You guys might think this is a little crazy, but we came in about $100,000 less than what they were asking, because the comps just didn't support what they were asking. I've quickly found out that comps don't really matter in this market. People are just going crazy. Properties, there's very little inventory. Days on market are super low. People are going well above ask, well above appraised value. There's no contingencies in many cases. I mean, it's madness out there. And so we found out that they accepted another offer, and it was okay because we weren't in love with the house. And we just knew that wasn't the one for us. So immediately that night, we got a notification, my wife and I, on Zillow, and we both looked at each other because the description of the house that I had been writing down in my journal for 30 straight days, on day 30, this house appeared on Zillow. And it was everything we've been looking for, and it came with a pretty hefty price tag. And, we set up a showing the next day, which actually was yesterday, by the way, at the time of this recording. And we fell in love with the house even that much more. And I'll kind of hit the fast forward button to let you know that I don't know if there's a happy ending with this house. But what I shared with my wife, because there's multiple offers, and we're putting in an offer today. And, that offer is going to be accompanied by a personal letter, possibly a video, because we might not be able to compete on price based on, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that people are going in above at. And so one of the things I said is hey, we're going to put our best foot forward, and we're going to stand out from everybody else, and maybe for this particular seller, it's not all about the money. Obviously that's a big factor, but maybe it's not all about the money. And so again, I don't know if there's a happy ending, but at the end of the day, for me, what I've come to realize, and again, hopefully you're cool with me kind of sharing my faith with you, I believe God's plan is better than mine. That's what it boils down to. So whether we get this house or not, I'm trusting in him and I'm acting in faith. And I told my wife, I said, while it would be disappointing not to get this house because it checks every box and it's exactly what we've been looking for in the same exact area we want to live in, If it's not this one, it's the next one, and it's on his timing. So I share all that with you because we have to embrace uncertainty. John Allen Paulos said, uncertainty is the only certainty there is, and knowing how to live with insecurity is the only security. And that's really, really interesting when you think about it. That's really interesting. Knowing how to live with insecurity is the only security. So kind of ponder on that as you go about your day. But life is oftentimes filled with uncertainty, and we have to be able to thrive in the face of that uncertainty. Otherwise you're crippled, and otherwise you just can't move forward in the direction of your goals. Dreams are important. We're sharing with our daughters that I want them to dream big, but dreaming is just dreaming. You got to take it a step further. You got to think big, and you got to act in faith. All right. And that's a key ingredient. One of our Ascend members saw my Instagram story, and he said, faith without acting is dead. And that's really interesting. Faith is important, but you got to follow that with action. And fortune favors the bold, right? As Virgil said, fortune favors the bold. So anyway, hopefully, I know I got a little bit personal here on this podcast, and what I was really attempting to do, and hopefully I succeeded, was that through some of the things going on in my life and business right now, I wanted to kind of take you inside, of some of the thoughts I'm having, and then how I'm viewing certain things, and then more importantly, really driving home the point that I encourage you to act in faith. I encourage you to trust in God, or whoever you believe your creator is, the universe, whatever. Act in faith, and then embrace the uncertainty. Lean into it, because that's where the juice of life is. Right? Suck the marrow out of life, as one of my friends would say, and embrace and lean into that uncertainty. That's where the growth happens, and in the process of growing, that's where the fruit comes. Right? We might not see it immediately, but you'll feel it, and it's who you're becoming in the process. Right? Not so much the attainment of the goal, not so much the house, not so much whatever it is you desire. And speaking of desiring, I encourage you to listen to I believe it was episode 547. About how to obtain your deepest desires. And I think hopefully this episode kind of ties into that a bit. So anyways, I've gone a little bit longer than I expected. I appreciate you. As always, let me know if you need anything. Let me know if, I just enjoy connecting with those of you who subscribe to the podcast and who support it. Thank you for all the messages. I read every single review. I see the messages. I'm grateful for them. I've had several of you reach out to me about Ascend. About what I have going on in the e-commerce world these days with some of these Walmart stores, and just a lot of cool things. So again, I want to connect with you. I invite those conversations, and anything I can do for you, just DM me, message me, and we'll go from there. Have an amazing day. I will connect with you on the next one. To me, wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list, but what I would encourage you to do is, if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.